Hello, Governor. This is Rakai Steed, Nuke from the Ville, and we're here to talk about Doctor Who, Season 9, Episode 13, The Husbands of River Song. But first, let me tell you a little story. You ever thought about what your heart's desire is? I have. And I think as I've gotten older, what that is has changed dramatically. I was talking to my oldest son, and he told me that his heart's desire is to play college football. He'll be a senior next year, and he wants to play 4 more years of football. It's his passion. He found a thing that he is good at and he enjoys. And I'm all for it. I want that for him. But it comes with so much. He's already been injured before. And I appreciated his perseverance, his willingness to work, to fight, to get back to something that he loved. The thing about football is football doesn't love you back. I love football. And the one thing I understood is when it was over, it was over. You know, football is one of the few sports that when you get done playing it, you're done. There is no more. There's no rec league, no church league, and your body just can't hold up. You might play flag football, but that's not the same as playing tackle football. It's not. So when you're done, you're done. And a lot of times we don't realize that that is a metaphor for life and the relationships that we have. Let's talk about it. Hello, Governor. This is Rakai Steed, Nuke from the Ville, and we are here to talk about Doctor Who Season 9, Episode 13, The Husbands of River Song. And I'm going to call this media therapy deep dive, The Heart's Desire. Now, you've been rocking with me for a while. You know that I try not to do a long recap. I want to keep this recap short and sweet so we can go ahead and get into my quotes, my personal thoughts, and then we can be out this piece. So we're in the future, and, the doctor's alone. He doesn't have Clara, and we're in the 54th century. And there's a servant named Nardole who mistakes the doctor for a surgeon. And River Song has sent Nardole to find the surgeon to attend to her dying husband, the King Hydroflax, who's a cyborg. River does not recognize the doctor. The doctor knows River. That's his wife. He knows her right off the bat. River doesn't recognize the doctor, and really that hurts the doctor's feelings. He's like, well, she don't know this face, but she should know me. Now the whole time River's actually working an angle. Like, she's the king has the universe's most valuable diamond lodged in his head. So she wants the doctor to get it out. But the king overhears River's plans, and so he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna kill her, my unfaithful wife, I'm gonna kill this surgeon, I'm killing everybody. The thing about Hydroflax's body is, though, even though his head is running things, the neck down is a complete different organism. It works irregardless of the head. So it's doing its own thing. River makes it out of there where the king was and sees another one of her husbands, this dude named Ramon, who was helping her set the whole thing up. Now the doctor, he's kind of pissy a little bit, and River goes to the TARDIS, and the doctor's like, you know what, I don't think you should go in there. And she's like, well, I got a key. And he's like, damn, I forgot that. But Hydroflax's body, because the River and the doctor took Hydroflax's head to get the diamond out, Hydroflax's body decapitates Nardole because thinks Nardo has information about the doctor and about River Song. Nardo ends up leading Hydroflax's body to Ramon, another one of River's husbands, and ends up taking his head because he has information about the doctor and River. The TARDIS couldn't take off because the Hydroflax's head is on the inside, but his body's on the outside. So the TARDIS wouldn't take off because, you know, the people in there is not complete. Now, Hydroflax shows up to the TARDIS, but using Ramon's voice, River opens the door for Ramon, not realizing that his head got cut off and he's now part of Hydroflax. So once Hydroflax busts into the TARDIS, the doctor thinks quickly and the TARDIS takes off because now the whole body of Hydroflax is in there. Now they teleport, the TARDIS goes to the destination starship of where River was selling the diamond. And everybody on this ship is like super criminals. So River's in negotiations to sell the diamond, and she said it's in the bag, which it's actually in Hydroflax's head, but she doesn't realize that the people that she's selling it to all worship Hydroflax. So to see Hydroflax's head in the bag, that's going to be a problem. Hydroflax's body is in the cargo area, and it ends up breaking out of there, killing a few more people on the way because it's going to a homing beacon that's in the head part. The problem is when it gets up there to where the head part is, they said the damage is too extensive and the body doesn't even want the head anymore because it's like, yeah, it's a wrap for you. River is betrayed by the dude who's, I don't know, the maitre d' or whatever, the main dude on this little ship. But that's okay because, you know, the one thing about the doctor and River having advanced knowledge, they know that the ship is about to get hit with a meteor strike. So they're able to work this out, and even though they're surrounded by enemies, they're able to work it out and get away, and they go to the planet of Beryllium. Now, the doctor had been telling River forever that he was going to take her to Beryllium to see, you know, some beautiful stuff on the planet, but he always got out of it. He stood her up, and River gave this great speech when she finally realized that 12 was the doctor, because she said, you know, she loved the doctor, but she understood the doctor didn't love her back. She says, like loving a force of nature, you know, like expecting the sunset to love you back. It shines all this beautiful light on your face, but expecting it to love you back. But the doctor the whole time had wanted to tell her, but didn't tell her until he showed her, because she said something about, you know, if the doctor really loved me and cared for me, he would be standing right here. He'd be here to save me, blah, blah, blah. And then she realized that he was, and he had been that whole time. And she didn't know what to do with that because she had really lived her life believing that he didn't love her as much as she loved him. That he didn't feel the same way because, you know, I mean, he's the doctor. He's thousands of years old. He's had a bunch of different companions. He couldn't possibly care for her the way that she cared for him. Now, one of the reasons that the doctor never wanted to take her to Beryllium is because in her little journal, spoilers, she knew that her last night that she would die, or the last night that she would spend with the doctor was on Beryllium. And when she woke up, she was on Beryllium. And she was upset. But the doctor, you know, he's always got an ace up his sleeve, and he told her, well, yes, this will be the last night that we spend together. But then she got clever and she said, well, how long is a night on this planet? And he said, 24 years. So it really allowed them to have a happy romance and actually spend some real time together before, as their last time. You know that I love my quotes, and I have two. The first one is, there are only two tragedies in this world. The first is that you never get your heart's desire. The other is that you get it. The other quote is, the thing about your heart's desire is your heart doesn't even know what it desires until it turns up. I'm calling this the heart's desire because that is what River Song really desired. The doctor. She had been into the doctor for a long time, but she was head over heels in love with the doctor. And their lives were moving in two different directions. But she wanted to make sure that they made good time, or whatever time they had together, with the few times that they saw each other. And that's a hard way to live. If you have a time machine and you know the future, and you know that your time with this person that you want to be with more than anything in the world is limited, and usually you're running for your life, how do you make the best out of time? The heart's desire often refers to what a person deeply wants or longs for. Now, it can be a cherished goal or aspiration, but when most people think of it, it's not a thing. Like the story I gave you at the beginning was about my son, and his desire was to play football. Because right now, where he's at in his life, that is his heart's desire. A lot of people ascribe the heart's desire to a person, someone that they love, maybe who doesn't love them back. Maybe who does, but the timing is off. Or maybe it's two people who love each other deeply, but for whatever reason can't make it work. The fairy tale is that these two people who love each other immensely and deeply get together and stay together forever. And especially in this world today, that really is a fairy tale. I once upon a time thought that I had that. I thought that I would have that. That is not the case. But I still desire that. I do want someone to grow old with, to get all this love that I got. This is too much love for one person to have. I know that sounds crazy to say, but it is. I want to dote on someone and ask them about their day and be genuinely interested. Cuddle on the couch and, tell you I love you before we go to bed. And good morning with your hot dragon breath. But still not be bothered. Because if I had to smell hot stinking dragon breath, who better to smell it than from the person that you love? Because the person that you love, that is your heart's desire, you have to be there for all of their good and their bad, their outstanding qualities and their flaws. I have not read this book. I saw an excerpt, but I liked where it was going. So this is a book by a married couple, Mark Lasser and Deborah Lasser, called The 7 Desires of Every Heart. Now, this book is probably, it appears to be written from a biblical point of view. But what it says that God gives everyone 7 common desires. So let's talk about those. To be heard, affirmed, blessed, safe, touched, chosen, and included. What do each one of those things look like for you? And if you look at the relationship that you're in right now, do you have those 7 things? I know a lot of people say that there's the 5 love languages, and that could speak to your heart's desire and what you want from a partner. But is that it? Or does what I just read off, what does that speak to more what your heart's desire could be? And I guess you could find parts of this in each of the love languages. Have you heard of love languages? Do you even know what that is? I think the first one, to be heard, is important. You know, that we have such an interesting dynamic today between men and women that I don't know about women. But I know that men would like to be heard. I have found, and not only my personal dealings, but a lot of men say that the scariest thing is for a man to be vulnerable and actually talk about how he feels. Because a lot of times it's weaponized and used against him. And instead of talking about how he feels, instead of talking about what he deems an issue to be, if he brings it up, you end up dealing with how him even bringing it up makes his partner feel. And so if a man is saying, I feel this, and this is an issue for us, and it's maybe something that we should fix, and not even being accusatory and be like, you need to fix this, which I've been on the receiving end of that. Still, that gets flipped and turned around, and now he's apologizing for even bringing it up in the first place. We just want to be heard. And heard means to actually listen. And that goes for men too. If you're a woman, I got a partner of mine. His woman was bringing up some issues that she had with him, and it was causing some serious rifts in the relationship. And every time she said something, he brought up the opposite. She might say, your drinking is becoming a problem, and I don't like who you are when you drink, and I don't like how you act. And the first thing he would bring up is like, well, you smoke, so. The thing is, her smoking wasn't a problem for him. But every time she brought up that he drank and it was a problem for her, he went defensive instead of listening to her. He didn't hear what she said. They're no longer together. Surprise. You know, second one is to be affirmed. What does that mean, to be acknowledged? Sometimes it's good to be heard, to be understood, and to be told that you're right. Yes, you're right. Yes, I have your back. No one is right all the time. No one. And yes, that includes me. And it's funny because I have been told that I always think I'm right. But I have probably apologized more times than I can count. Because I'm not right all the time. Matter of fact, I'm wrong a lot. I try to move with logic, and sometimes emotions get in there, but it's hard to have a healthy debate with someone who only moves off of emotion. But it's good. It's good. It feels good to your spirit to be affirmed. You know, this next one, the third one, to be blessed, that can mean something different for everyone. And even though you can look at certain aspects of my life and be like, woo, you down bad. But I'm blessed. Blessed and highly favored. I went through so many storms and through so much turmoil and still come out good. Is my life where I want to be? Absolutely not. But the one thing I do know is because I'm blessed, I've had some setbacks. But all they're doing is setting the stage for a mighty comeback. You know, most people they think that the position are you in is based on material things and money. And it's hard to argue against that. You need money to do a lot of stuff. And I need money to take care of myself better, and especially of my kids. But that doesn't mean the Lord ain't blessed me each and every day I'm able to wake up. Because the one thing I do know is a lot of my partners did not wake up today. People I went to school are no longer with us anymore. So all I can do is be happy to have another day to try to get it right. Being safe is important, and it seems like it's easy to take for granted, being safe. What does that mean? Does that mean having a house, having a place to stay? No, because you could be in a highly toxic relationship and you walk around on eggshells in your own home. You're with a person that makes you uneasy. The trust is no longer there. And I don't know if that means infidelity. I don't know if that means some type of abuse. Just means that you don't trust them. You can't leave your stuff out around them. You know, when people are unpredictable in your life, those are the kind of people that shouldn't be in your life. But it's easier said than done to get away from people that don't have your best interests at heart. A huge one is to be touched. Whether you're in a relationship, especially if you're married, to be touched is important. Being touched by a person, especially someone that you love, it triggers something. It's almost like the synapses in your brain, like to be touched, to feel someone's touch on you. And it's not just random people. It doesn't mean like people in the streets, a stranger touch you. But at the same point, even if you're married, you're seriously booed up. If someone who is sexually, physically, mentally attractive to you happens to brush up against you, touch your arm in public, innocently, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. It does something to you. A rush comes over you. But that only becomes a thing because you are unfulfilled where you should be full. That doesn't mean that you don't have eyes and don't see this person like, ooh, they are nice looking. And if they should so happen to touch you, it doesn't affect you as much if you are being fulfilled at home. If you have a person at home that is touching you often enough, in the right way, which that's a whole different conversation because that involves communication. But if that's happening, then you should be able to avoid the temptation that comes with, being touched. Because to not be touched opens you up to all sorts of things, because again, that's where you go back to, you want to be heard, you want to be affirmed, you want to be blessed, you want to be safe. And touch has a lot to do with that. Just think about how you feel about your children. You probably touch them all the time. I touch my kids all the time because they have to know how much that their daddy loves them. And not just you have to tell them, they have to know. You have to feel chosen. And that's big for men and for women. You cannot feel like you are a consolation prize. You shouldn't be second fiddle to anyone, to anything. I know if my thing is to be serious about my career or about my business or whatever, then I'm all about that. But the thing is, that should not come at the sacrifice of your relationship. And if a person's in a relationship with you, then they should understand the lengths and depths that you have to go to work your business, work your career, what kind of sacrifice that takes, because there are going to be sacrifices all around. But then they should also be able to show up for you, and you should be able to show up for them. I was in a relationship where, you know, when I first started teaching, and my ex-wife, she hated it. I had transitioned from a career as an accountant and became a teacher. And in her mind, teachers wasn't shit. And it didn't stack up. And no matter that what I did was a more of a calling, and it was about the money, we were comfortable. Her perception of my new job wasn't at. And she no longer chose me because I chose a different career. I no longer had the status that she wanted to, you know, portray. And that's not the only problem, but that was a huge one. The last one of these was to be included. Just like you don't want to be someone's second choice, you don't want to come second to anything, you have to be included. You have to be a part of the equation. If you're going to be partners, damn it. Even if I'm the king of this house, in order to have a royal court, in order to rule, I have to have my queen, and I have to have my queen's counsel. That does not mean I make the decisions because I'm the king and you just deal with it. Because you'll find pretty soon that your queen will make some decisions of her own. And it might be with another king. You don't watch your step. You know, or however you get down. And I'm just speaking from my point of view. You know what I'm saying? I'm a king. I prefer to have a queen. But if you're a queen or like a queen, or a king that like a king, or whatever however you get down. I'm just saying, you want to be included. You want to be part of your partner's plans. I got one of my homeboys. You know, we talk about, you know, recording or doing something. And he like, hold on. And it's looked down upon that maybe he's going to ask for permission. But it's not that he's asking for permission. He's including his queen in the plans to see if they have plans that will supersede the plans that we have. I don't live in this house. I don't know what he has to do in his house. But the first thing that you need to do is take care of your house first and always. I don't know what you think about any of the things I said, you know, but you should really look into how do you fulfill your heart's desire? And which side of the equation are you on? Is the tragedy that you didn't get your heart's desire? Or is it a tragedy that you did? This is Rakai Steed, new from the Ville. Please make sure that you share this video as much as possible. I really need y'all to share this. Make sure that you hit the like button. Leave me some comments about what you said. You know, again, I'm not right all the time. What do I know? I don't know shit. But leave me some comments. You know, there were 7 different desires of the heart. And the 2 quotes that I gave. You know, your heart doesn't even know what it wants until it comes across it. Which is very true. And if for some reason you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know what you're doing, but go down there. Down, yep. Hit the little button and subscribe. It's that easy. Watch some of the other videos. There might be something that pertains to you, something that makes sense to you. Remember, everything that I do, I use this. But even more importantly, I use this.